Hi there, everybody, and welcome to today's Investor Education. I'm Kat Delgadillo, here to co-host our event with our CEO, Hall Martin, who will give us a little more information about what we do here at 10 Capital. Hall.
Great. Go back to the first slide, 10 Capital. Welcome everybody for coming today to the 10 Capital presentation. This is our investor education section. We'll have a chance to have an educational topic. Looking forward to your feedback and discussion there. And then we'll have breakout rooms at the end, and we have three companies presenting. But before we get into that, let's talk about 10 Capital. We help startups and investors connect for funding. We've been doing this since 2009. We were originally called Texas Entrepreneurs Network and have since changed the name to 10 Capital. But we help companies with fundraise strategy. We help with pitch decks. We use a lot of AI tools to do analytical analysis of the deck, the website, the LinkedIn profile, and we also build diligence reports with it. But in short, we provide the legwork, saving you time and money on your campaign. Next slide. So we also help form capital for the early stage ecosystem. We help high net worth start family offices because they fund emerging managers. We help VC funds find limited partners, primarily high net worth and family offices. And we also help angel groups find members because that's how they fund their program. So we're always trying to get more capital together to fund early stage companies. Next slide. We have several events. We have the 10 Quick Pitch, which is for tech deals. Each company gets 10 minutes to pitch, 5-minute Q&A. We have the Life Science Syndicate, which is for life science companies. And we use a 10 by 10 format, 10 minutes to pitch, 10 minutes to answer questions, no breakout room. And then we're in what we call the investor education session, which is one we're in today. And it will have, we have a mixture of companies that are presenting. Each company get 10 minutes to pitch, 5-minute Q&A, and then we'll have breakout rooms at the end. And finally, we have in-person events. We just got finished with our New York event 2 weeks ago. We're on our way out to Houston in 2 days from now, and then we'll be in LA on December 11th, and that'll wrap up the year. The core cities we go to are Austin, Dallas, Houston, Bay Area, New York, DC, and Southern California. And we get out to most of those cities twice a year. If you want to learn more about our events, just go to 10capital.group and click on the events button, and you can learn more about the events that we have coming up. If you're an investor, love to have you on the panel. If you're a partner, love to have you as well. And for those in the audience, love to have your participation through the chat box also. So with that, let's go to the next slide. If you're a startup in the audience and you're interested in joining our program, go and take a picture of that QR code with your camera and fill out the form. We'll follow up to see if this program is a good fit for you and if we can help you raise funding for your next round. Next slide. We'll give you a survey at the end of the program. Looking forward to your feedback. We do look at every one of these and we action them. So we appreciate any feedback you give us on how to make these better. We have been doing this for a period of time now, so feel like we got a smooth process, but we're always looking to make it better. Next slide. We do a lot with AI. We have a chat bot called Ava. And we use it for primarily investor analysis of startup deals. We build diligence reports, deal memos. We have basic and advanced analytical tools. We're also doing matching between the venture fund and the startup to see if it's a good fit, see if it meets the criteria. And we have many other tools in there as well. Let's hear more about Ava in this video.
Hi there. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Ava, your personal AI venture assistant. I'm your new best friend in the world of investing in startups, the 10 Capital AI chatbot. I'm here to make your journey through the startup ecosystem easier, faster, and a lot more fun. Need help finding your next big investment? Or maybe you're a founder looking for fundraising tips? I've got you covered. I pull all my knowledge from over 500 blogs, countless podcasts, and even some nifty calculators, like the How Fundable Is Your Startup tool, to give you the answers you need. So how do I work? Easy. You simply go to where I live on startupfundingespresso.com and look for me in the bottom right. As soon as I appear, go ahead and click on me to let me know you're here. And then there you go. All your questions answered at your fingertips. Whether you're into health tech, biotech, life sciences, or any of the other exciting fields out there, I'm equipped to help you navigate the trends, challenges, and opportunities in each one. Got a question? Just ask. And guess what? I even pull insights from the 10 Capital Network podcast on Investor Connect. It's packed with expert advice, success stories, and more. all designed to help you succeed in the venture capital world. So what are you waiting for? Let's chat. I'm here 24/7 to help you find the right answers, connect with great opportunities, and make the most out of your investments. See you on startupfundingespresso.com.
Great. With that, let's go ahead and get started. We'd like to introduce our panelists first and have each one tell us a little bit about themselves and what they do. Let's start with Mohammed. Can you tell us more about yourself and Crown?
Hi all, hi everyone. I'm Mohammed Assisa, founder and CEO of the Crown Acquisition Group. We help startups seed to Series B optimize their financial operation with accounting, bookkeeping, back office support, and fundraising and financial strategy.
Great, thanks. And next to him is Greg. Greg, can you tell us more about yourself and your group?
Sure. Can you guys see and hear me okay?
We hear you fine.
Hi, good afternoon or good morning, everyone. Greg Jackson here, calling in from the East Coast. I was out in Silicon Valley for just over 25 years, was part of a bunch of big blockbusters and then became an entrepreneur and started a bunch of companies myself. I'm currently an angel investor now and with a syndicate of 75 other angels around the United States. I am anywhere from an investor to a strategic investor to a fractional executive, helping with growth and commercialization.
Great, thanks. Next is Mitchell Posada. Mitch, can you tell us more about yourself and your group?
Sure. Mitchell Posada, based here in Boulder, Colorado, focusing on hard tech innovation and really trying to help companies navigate the kind of the go-to-market motions and anything that's going to help the system with capital formation. And particularly in hard tech, you pretty much have to orient your entire business around the capital, as depressing as that might sound. So those two things, kind of mirroring those things, and that's kind of what we focus on. Deep tech and climate and clean tech tend to be are the areas. Deep tech covers a lot of different things, but yeah. Go-to-market motions and capital for like assist with like how does that impact your capital formation? So
Great.
why like 10 capital?
Great. Glad to have you here. And finally, we have with us Kevin Haley. Kevin, can you tell us more about yourself and your group?
Hey everybody, Kevin Haley. I'm in the investment team at S3 Ventures. We invest in seed, Series A, and Series B. B2B software companies primarily. We're generalists in that space. We also have a decent portfolio of medical device and healthcare technology companies as well. We tend to invest about $1 to $10 million in each company. And kind of what's unique about us is that we're backed by a single limited partner. So we can be very hands-on and patient with our capital. As for myself, in a previous life, I was a product manager at a high growth tech company up in Boston.
Great. Thanks for joining us here today. And congratulations on moving to Texas and getting into a warmer climate.
Absolutely.
So our first presenter today is going to be Resper AI Medical. Nimrod, if you could launch your slides and kick off when ready. And like I say, at the end, we'll go around the room and give each person a chance to ask their question. And then those in the audience, you can always put questions to the chat box and read that out. Whenever you're ready, go and kick off.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you all for inviting us to present. I'm Nimrod Benoon. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Resper AI Medical. And our vision is to revolutionize the the chronic respiratory world and the chronic respiratory care. And this is what we're doing by using a real-time passive monitoring platform that empower chronic respiratory patients to live healthier and longer lives. Just a few words about the chronic respiratory disease burden. We're talking about over 1 billion people suffering from chronic respiratory diseases. And when we are looking at the market of chronic respiratory disease, we are all familiar with the asthma, the CF, even lung cancer is today a chronic disease. When the COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, is the largest one and our first target indication. So chronic obstructive pulmonary disease is a progressive lung disease, which is characterized by a recurring obstruction of the patient's airways, even several times a year, that can cause a severe blockage of the airways, leading to repeated hospitalizations and even death. And we are talking about over 500 million patients suffering from COPD today in the world. It's the fourth leading cause of death. It's the fourth leading cause of hospitalizations, and it's one of the top 5 most expensive diseases to treat. And we are talking about a global burden of over $200 billion of direct and indirect costs, and over 70 million patients that suffer from ongoing exacerbations, ongoing hospitalizations, which we're trying to keep them at home and trying to reduce the burden on the system. And of course, and most importantly, is to save their lives. So imagine yourself living with COPD. 20% of the smokers and ex-smokers will suffer from the disease. They are living in a fear. They don't know when they will face another exacerbation. They don't know when they'll face another hospitalization. They're afraid to leave the house, and they worry about the next flare. And what if we could easily change their story and change their quality of life by measuring very simple physiological parameters and providing them ongoing and updated picture on their current status of the disease. And this is exactly what we are doing. So we are developing an AI-based home monitoring platform that helps COPD patients and their care teams to passively predict and prevent exacerbations. And by then, we can improve dramatically the management of the COPD disease at home. And as a result, to reduce the hospitalization, to provide cost-saving benefits, and as a result, to save patients' lives. And how do we do it? So our platform is divided into three main parts. We are software company, and the heart and the brain of the solution of the platform is an AI-based patented algorithm, which was developed by one of the US leading universities. The whole idea of it is that we algorithm know how to identify early exacerbations by analyzing very simple two physiological parameters, ECG and movement. And these parameters, physiological parameters, we are collecting by off-the-shelf sensors. We are not developing our own sensor. We are using off-the-shelf sensors, whether it's chest patch, smartwatches like Garmin, Apple Watch, Fitbit, etc. In the future, probably also smart rings like Aura will collect ECG and movement. And we are using these off-the-shelf FDA-approved sensors to collect the physiological parameters. And we are presenting the results, the alerts on proprietary mobile applications and dashboard that we are developing and providing the patients, the caregiver, the home care companies, and others. Till today, we had two major clinical trials in which the last one we recruited over 70 COPD patients recruited from 5 clinical sites, and the algorithm actually showed that we can predict exacerbation even 2 weeks before hospital admission, and by then we can provide a very simple solution and by providing very simple treatment to these patients like antibiotics and steroids on time, we can save them and keep them at home. Today, we have two main indications, two main products. The first one is in collaboration with the Right at Home, which is a lead home care company in the US based in Omaha, Nebraska. We are developing together a home monitoring COPD patient platform, which targets to early detect exacerbation and avoid the hospitalizations. We're talking about a B2B2C business model with existing remote patient monitoring CPT codes today that we can utilize, and we can provide these patients, and we can get over $1,000 per patient per year from the Medicare. And in parallel, we are also developing in collaboration with Mayo Clinic a solution for managing COPD patients' rehabilitation process after minimal invasive procedure with a target to reduce the readmission rates of these patients. And today we are talking about over 40% of readmission rates in the first 45 days, which create a huge burden on the Mayo, on the hospitals, on the clinicians, and on the healthcare system. And these two applications are actually going to be presented in the dashboards, what we call a 360 dashboard. It's a one-stop shop for the chronic respiratory patients, which provide the patients on a mobile application the real-time disease status, tracking medications, educational content, ongoing communication with family members, caregivers, clinicians, and once the alert system will be ready, also provide the alerts before hospitalizations. put you on this, show you our development gun. So our first generation dashboard platform is going to be launched beginning of next year. Already in advanced development stages. Just finished a focus group that presented us the huge unmet need in this type of solution. And there are the two clinical studies that we discussed about. The first is the one with the Mayo Clinic. By middle 2027, we'll get the FDA approval, and also the COPD monitoring solution with Right at Home. Also, we're estimating that we'll get the FDA approval and launch the product by the end of 2027. And the main question is, okay, so we are developing an innovative platform, but what is actually happening today? So today there is nothing that can predict. There is no solution that can predict this type of changes, that can predict hospitalizations. Nurses, clinicians are using very basic questionnaires that actually call once, twice a week to the patients, ask them about their status, about their condition, about asking them how many steps they walk and how many and how do they feel. Very low accuracy, very low adherence, and huge time and cost required. There are some blood biomarkers, spirometry, which is not very accurate on COPD patients, and other digital health solution, which is currently under development, but nothing has the right regulatory approval, and we couldn't find any solution today that can predict these costly hospitalizations and can save these patients' lives. So COPD is only the first indication. We are also planning to monitor other chronic diseases, like, as mentioned before, asthma, lung cancer, IPF, heart disease, etc. Also, we are evaluating some potential non-regulated wellness applications in collaboration with one of the leading smartwatch companies, and also collaboration with pharma companies. We have a global management and scientific advisory board. Our headquarters is in Omaha, Nebraska. We have an R&D center in Tel Aviv, in Israel. We are also in collaboration with a European group of companies, and we are planning to launch our coming trials in the both in the US and outside the US. As of today, we are in a process of running the 2 clinical trials. We are ongoing trial with Mayo and about to launch the trial in 2 sites with Right at Home. And if you're looking about the financials, so first revenue is estimated for 2026, and then to reach almost $200 million by the 2031. And when we're looking about potential acquirers, we're looking at the home care companies, the medical devices companies, smartwatch and mobile phones companies are very enthusiastic about these kind of solutions. They are developing the hardware and they're looking for solutions that can differentiate them from their competitors. And also there is a potential for collaboration with the pharmaceutical companies, which is also potential acquirer. And today we are in a process of raising our round A of $5 million with the first closing of 2.5 by the end of this year. We also already have a soft commitment of $1 million, and our main investor for our previous round and our coming round is, our main investor is Invest Nebraska, which is a leading VC in Nebraska. eHealth Venture, it's a group of investors which includes Mayo Clinic and Amgen and more, and additional small VCs. Till today, we raised $4.4 million. Almost half of it is equity and half of it is non-dilutive funding from both US and Israeli grants. That's it. I'll be happy to answer any question.
Great, thanks for that. For those in the audience, if you want to post a question in the chat box, we'll read it out for you. Mohammed, let's start with your first question.
Hey, Nimrod, how are you? Good to see you again.
Thank you.
I would ask you a simple question for me, like that I ask everybody. It's like, what is the most important key performance indicator that you have right now that will unlock the next milestone and kind of make things move. If you were to prioritize them into 2 or 3 bullet points, what are the 3 key achievements that will make the needle move?
So actually, we have 2 main KPIs. The first one is the 2 pilot studies that we have with Mayo and in 2 sites in Nebraska. We are testing everything. We're testing the whole process with the call center, with the sites, with the CRO, everything right before the regulatory trial. So these ongoing 2 pilot studies are important targets for our company. And the second one is the soft launch of our dashboard at the beginning of next year, in which we already have a strategic partner right at home as a leading home care company. Hopefully, he will launch this platform among his COPD patients. And the main KPI here is to see how the patients adopt the new solution. We are performing, and we just finished one focus group on COPD patients and caregivers, and we're getting very excellent results. And we are planning several others along the way and right before launching in order to make sure that we are developing the right platform. We are making sure that we are pricing it in the right price level. And so this is another very important KPI for us.
And Greg, what's your
Thank
question?
you.
Nimrod, if you keep the answers shorter, we can get more. Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead, Greg.
I was unclear on the costs of this compared to the cost of other things in the competitive matrix. And in parallel with that, Nimrod, in your estimated Gantt, I'm unclear on, I mean, if I read into it and spent a little more time, but you were flying. You did the perfect job, by the way, and the graphics, everything was wonderful. Hall asked her my questions, not my compliments, but I have a lot of those as well. I'm unclear from the estimated Gantt, what is a service, what is a product, and what are the revenue projections based on each of those swim lanes?
So I'll try to answer fast. So first, if we are looking at the RPM codes, the existing codes are actually providing a little bit more than $100 per patients per month, and we are within this code. So the price is going to be $100 per patients and everything is going to be covered by the Medicare. And our product at the end is a service. We provide the sensors. If the patient they can use their own smartwatches or chest patch, etc. And we are going to provide an access to our platform that can help them to predict and prevent this hospitalization. So we are providing them access to the dashboard, which will provide the alerts, will provide all, let's say, overview on the disease, current status, future, etc.
Syncing your device to other devices is not as easy as they always say. Do you have a roadmap of which categories of devices and what the triage will be of those over the quarters and years?
Yes, we have all the information. I can show you later on the comparison to our competitors and the actual current status and our, let's say, as you call it, a triage when we deal with COPD patients and what are the right stages of it.
Right. We'll have breakout rooms afterwards for that. Mitch, what's your question?
Well, you kind of just asked it because I was like, what are the reimbursement codes? Who pays? How do the economics look? So you definitely answered, some of those questions. But yeah, for me, it's just like when do you foresee getting the product into market, and how does that look like? Where will it start?
So sorry, I apologize. The first product is going to be launched at the beginning of next year as a monitoring platform, which still cannot provide the alerts. The alerts feature is going to be approved hopefully by the end of 2027, and then we'll be able to get the reimbursement based on the regulatory approval. And by then, we're going to use it as an out-of-pocket or a fee for service from the home care company. There are different potential business models that we are evaluating.
Great.
Okay, so but are you targeting more nursing, like aging in place, kind of like that patient population first, mostly?
Right. Exactly, yes. Great.
Great. And let's go to Kevin for their final question.
Yeah, really quick. Good job, Nimrod. Can you just walk me through how you plan to acquire customers? I had a lot of similar questions about the economics and the go-to-market, but really curious about how you're going to acquire customers.
Yeah, so actually, what we did is we collaborated first with a leading home care company, and the first step is to use their own customer base. They are providing services to over several, I think 40 or 50,000 patients in the US. So first patient is going to be their patients, and then we are going to also acquire patients by targeting clinicians, hospitals, and we will get their recommendations for their patients to use our platform in order to monitor their disease on time and to accurately and to predict exacerbation. So targeting first the existing partner patients, and later on and in parallel work with clinicians to target a largest number of potential customers.
Great. Great questions and great answers there, guys. Appreciate that. Let's move to our next presenter. Thanks so much, Nimrod. We'll see you in the breakout rooms. And next we'll have Steve of Intel Care. Steve, if you can launch your slides and kick off when ready. We see your slides.
I think he's muted.
Oh, you're muted. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Can everyone see the slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. My name is Steve Keys, CEO and founder of Intel Care. We're focused on transforming the senior living industry from largely a reactive to a predictive or proactive care model. Our focus is on assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing facilities. Problem with this industry is not the large number of seniors that are aging. An interesting statistic, approximately 11,000 seniors a day for the next 20 years will turn 65. But that's not the issue. The issue really falls in several categories. One is falls and liabilities. And those falls result in readmission, where it's lost revenue to the facility, litigation, very large issue where the families will launch a lawsuit against the facility. And then you have the states that come in and give them a reduced star rating, which impacts your census growth, et cetera. The second large issue pervasive across this industry is caregiver shortage and burnout. Obviously there's a lot of stress, lack of self-care, an emotional toll, but also the amount of documentation and charting that your CNAs and your nurses are required to do drive a lot of attrition. The third issue is, as I said earlier, it's a very reactive care model. So there's no real-time insights. So whether you're gauging the overall health or behavior on changes in medications, changes in care plans, it's still a very reactive care model, which results in, again, a high level of readmissions to the hospital, which drives revenue away from the facility. When you look at Intel Care, and our solution consists of several elements. We start with a series of sensors. We have a hardware agnostic platform, so we're able to use kind of the best technology or sensors available. And what we've chosen are 4D radar sensors. These are all contactless. So there's no cameras, there's no listening, etc. These typically mount on the ceiling or the wall. We've done some significant enhancements to the installation process, which creates a high degree of efficiency based on an in-suite installation. The second element is our platform. also has a dashboard, which is where we render all of the results of the events in both a graphical as well as an audio tone. We're not just sending alerts and notifications to a dashboard, which is typically located at the nursing station. These folks don't have a lot of time to sit around and watch. So we send alerts to a variety of mobile devices, pagers, mobile phones, kiosks, etc. The third element is really where we're going with this. And we've released our first version, which we call Sienna, and it's our AI model. And that's where we're taking the data not only from our sensors, but the integration that we've accomplished with the major resident management systems. Those companies have been around for 30 or more years, but they're a staple in this industry. They have medications, care plans, doctor notes. So the integration with those provide us with a significant amount of real world data that goes into our models. So where you can see we're going is from, this reactive care model to one that becomes much more predictive, so that the staff can focus more time on their care, and less time with charting, etc. When you take a look at the dashboard as an example, and we're representing various present states. So we know if the resident is in bed, we know if there's a caregiver giving assist, we know if there's an individual attempting to exit the bed, and then there's obviously graphical representation of an individual that's falling. The sensors that we're focused on today are fall detection, imminent bed exit, which is a fall mitigation solution, extremely popular, where we identify when someone is getting out of bed before their feet hits the floor. And then the third is the health parameter, which gives us heart rate, respiratory rate, heart rate variability, and motion. And then obviously with the integration to the systems that I mentioned earlier, it gives us significant amount of data to run through our models. The other thing we've done here is, and we have filed a patent on this, with all of this data, you're beginning to take real world data and create a risk score. We refer to it as a resident attention and risk score that takes both health condition scores as well as a dynamic activity score. So it's a combination of health as well as behavior and movements. And with the sensors, we are able to track not just presence and where someone's at in the room, or if there's multiple people, but we're also able to detect changes in that movement, whether it be gait or just the amount of time it's taking to go from the bed to the bathroom and the length of time they're staying in those locations. You look at the market opportunity today, there's nearly 3 million beds in the US. And 1% adoption of our solutions results in about a 35 million ARR. The numbers are staggering in terms of the overall market opportunity here, both in the US and on a global size. You look at the business model, it's kind of a hybrid, and that's really driven by the type of communities. Assisted living and memory care, we are currently getting on average about $100 a month per patient, okay? And in some cases, we're finding that the executives or ownership group of the AL or memory care goes to the family and says, look, we want to charge you an extra $100 a month for this technology. They've been quite successful at that. The other model for revenue is a program that's offered through Medicare, which is called remote patient monitoring. That results in about on average $128 a month per patient. The only requirement, the most significant requirement, I should say, is the collection of 16 points of data a month. With our solutions being in place, again, no batteries, we're collecting a lot more than 16 points of data. So that's not an issue whatsoever.
Yeah, 30 seconds left.
I want to quickly show you current traction. A lot of brand name folks there. Pipeline is even better. Most of the traction as well as pipeline are folks that own multiple, as high as 37 facilities that we're currently working with. We're certainly positioning ourselves as an authority in the industry. White papers, case studies, and webinars. Our customers certainly have a lot of good things to say about us. In terms of landscape, you've got outdated systems and you've got sensor manufacturers. Again, having a hardware agnostic platform gives us a lot of flexibility there. Our current burn is 85. Our ARR is 120, projected to take that to about 2.1 in 26 and double that in 27. Our current runway with this raise is about 19 to 20 months. I'm extremely excited about the team. We've got AI specialists, we've got software development in the healthcare industry, and we've got operational experience with assisted living, skilled nursing, and memory care. We're raising $6 million on a convertible note. We've raised just shy of $1 million on that. And it's a convertible note with a 15 million max with a 20% discount. I'll stop there, Hall.
Great presentation. Greg, what's your question? You're on mute. Greg, you're on mute. Okay, got it.
I'm unclear on the cost of goods sold and the margins. Can you help us understand that a little bit more? It just seems like at, what was it, $128 per patient. You're gonna have a lot of patients before you're making money. And these sensors and this service and these AI and the people behind them gonna cost a lot of money to help run that. Talk to us about cost of goods and margins, please.
Yeah, we the cost of an installation per room is about $500. That includes 3 or 4 devices and the install cost. Our ROI is about 4.5 to 5 months. So you're talking about 156,000 per 100-room facility.
Thank you.
Great. And Mitch, what's your question?
My sense is you might have some either headwinds or tailwinds, just given like the regulatory environment and the attention that nursing homes are getting. It's probably to your benefit, I would imagine. But can you talk to us a little bit about just anything that you see, either one of those, that might either assist or detract in some way? The fact that you're getting adoption is good, because I would imagine that some people want it just as compliance in some way, or legal, for just like or either for this, and a lot of it's just for the staff and ultimately the owners of the nursing home, that they'd be like, hey, we're doing our job, and kind of some way. Anyway, but along those lines, what have you seen or foresee?
Well, one of the things we're beginning to see is when they're adopting this technology, we're starting to discuss with insurance carriers that we can drive reductions in the premiums of the facility's insurance cost. And then that's a significant savings and opportunity. We all know that Medicare and Medicaid are looking at how to leverage AI as a reimbursable. The reimbursables today are pretty significant, with an average of 128 per room per month.
Great. And Kevin, what's your question?
I was very impressed with the traction, Steve. Can you walk me through some of the learnings that you've encountered since going live?
I'll tell you that most of it has been on the installation side. Going in to install And you've got residents that, in some cases, don't leave their bed very often, right? So moving them around, but I'll tell you, we've had a lot of success with the staff and the executive leadership working with us to ensure that we've got 30 minutes to go in and do the installation. That's probably been the biggest learning. Obviously, the litigation and the injuries and the readmissions from those injuries are significant. So when you're able to alert a staff member that someone that's high fall risk or has some changes in mobility are about to exit the bed and they can be there now to assist them, that's pretty significant.
Great. And Mohammed, what's your question?
Hi, Steve. How are you? Thank you
I'm
for
good,
the
thank you.
thank you for the presentation. I have a quick question relating to what was just discussed regarding installation capacity. So is it correct to say that like installation is the biggest blocker right now? Like rather than sales cycle or budget timing, it's really for existing facilities, the logistics of installation is one of your blockers right now?
Yeah, we're actually in discussions with a couple of national footprint groups that can help us with scaling. So yeah, that's been a bit of a blocker. In the skilled nursing, other than the one-time installation cost, in most cases, they're not paying much for the service because we're getting it all through Medicare, because almost all of those patients are on Medicare Part B. On the
Got
assisted
it.
living, the families are have been more than willing to pay an extra $100 a month on top of 4, 5, 6,000 a month.
Now, the final question for me. So would it make sense for you to, from a sales perspective standpoint, to kind of try to sell this product to hospitals or a retirement home that are in constructions rather than are already kind of operating?
A very advantageous is to get the devices installed before the actual construction. But we try to leave everything very aesthetically pleasing because everything's covered with Panduit. If we have access to the attic, everything is installed there or in the walls, so you don't have any wires.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
Great presentation, Steve. Great questions, guys. With that, let's move to our third presenter, Aviana Vanaja. Can you kick off your slides whenever they're launched? And we see them now. You can go to full screen. And you're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now, Paul?
Yes, yes, we can.
So thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it. So we are a very novel acoustic that transforming healthcare to affordable diagnostics. And we are use AI for intelligence insights. And we test it anywhere and everywhere because we are basically, hold on a second. We are basically a portable device. So what is the problem? The problem is we'd like to capture the $10 billion point of care lateral flow kit. As you know, they're very popular. Before that, diagnostics was sort of looked down upon, but now with the momentum of diagnostics is incredible. This technology is 60 years old and it cannot be activated with the current connected health imaging technologies. It cannot adapt to these changes. And so the other diagnostics that are done are costly and time consuming. Delaying treatment, as you know, you've all experienced having to test a diagnostic lab, then the results going to doctor and then coming to you at some point, talking about days, sometimes weeks in delay. However, we have a solution. We have an AI-enabled chip acoustic sensor, electronic biosensor, prediction, portability, and true point of care. Look like a smartphone with a disposable cartridge. We can produce results in about 3 minutes. We're converging electronics converging electronics and biology in the diagnostic world. It's a portable system, even because it's smartphone enabled, it's portable, it's direct and simple sample processing. We don't need any laboratory equipment, small samples. We accurate test for all of the enabled electronics. We can multiplex and we can do all kinds of different analytics. We can seamlessly connect it to the web and EHR. It's based on RFs, which are made every year, making it cost effective. So we are enabling it with what we call a local LLM based on the fact generates significant amount of data on a second to second time frame. We can increasing sensitivity of the system. The specificity comes with the biological reaction, sensitivity comes with the system itself. We actually get a tremendous amounts of so to a real time for aggregated health signals. We can be easily just enabled these sensors are used.
Vinaj, is still breaking up. Maybe we can just do it close, sit closer to it. Yeah.
Oh, I don't understand because I've got my headphone on.
I think it's just how close you are to the microphone.
Oh, okay. Well, it shouldn't work. It shouldn't be a problem with the headphone. But in any case, I maybe I have to increase the volume. So we also do what we call cross-domain data integration, where we can from animal to human and human to animal data, which is important for pandemics and public health. So I just have some really interesting news that happened this week, which is that we are currently signed a contract with Long Island University, which has been given $600 million by the state of New York to develop an accelerator in Brooklyn Heights. We're going to be located there. We've signed a contract with them. They'll provide a tremendous number of talent and institutes with corporate strategy, and we'll oversee clinical trials and sales. So this makes it really feasible for us to start as soon as we get some funding. We just started this campaign a month or two ago, and we're expecting that we can be successful in raising money so we can initiate our contract. So our vision is derived from developed for the shuttle program, transformed into diagnostics, and very process. I'm happy to do it for anyone that's interested. So what is the market opportunity? Going after Lyme testing as our first market opportunity because we have a really good way of detecting this that takes away all of the uncertainty of Lyme testing. So, it's quite severe right now. Then we want to get into physicians' markets, what we call a preeclampsia. We've chosen very carefully where there's a tremendous unmet need where we can make a difference. Then eventually we want to go to OTC and traumatic brain injury. We also want to be involved, as I mentioned to you, in zoonotic diseases. And LIU has a very strong program, veterinary medicine, interested in zoonotic medicine. Here's our go-to-market strategy. We're going to do what we call a laboratory-derived Lyme, which is currently how Lyme is tested right now. It requires no FDA approval. The test is done in one CLIA lab, and we will have access to that. We don't require a significant amount of money to get that because our technology is very advanced and we need clinical validation. We'll use patient advocacy groups. We've already started that process and the internet and opinion leaders to get it out to market. There's another company called Igenix that's done this very successfully. We'll follow the Myriad model, which was $1 billion company. So the next system is going to be a lab system, which does not require CLIA waiver. We'll need a 510K, however, and we're already starting to discuss this with labs in New York State, where we'll be located, and with the Westchester Medical Center, which is a hotspot for Lyme disease. That's going to require about $2 to $3 million for the analytical data in a year, really, in testing to get there. You don't need a CLIA waiver. And as I mentioned to you, we've already started talking to hospitals in New York. After that, we want to go to physicians' offices, women's health, and beyond. We're interested in the preeclampsia. We're interested in GLP-1 and other areas where we can make an instant diagnosis. This will require CLIA waiver for use outside the lab, and we'll focus on products for pharmacy and physicians' offices. And eventually we'll get to home OTC with all the data that's required for that. So why Lyme? It's a growing disease. It's about 10.8 billion worldwide and about 5 billion in the US. You can see the spread of Lyme is incredible. It's gone from just up here to all the way to the Midwest and now hitting the Pacific Northwest and including Silicon Valley area. And we have, so it's a perfect opportunity for our system. There's a two-step method, ELISA with a Western blot, a slow turnaround time, low specificity, very confusion amongst the Lyme patients. That's what they actually are doing. And because, the within, within the tissue, and we can only detect. We have data that we can detect both early stage and late stage disease with a single test. The results in 15 minutes, and we're already convinced Westchester Medical Center and some other places that it's worth doing. And in fact, they're interested in using this system for other tests. So coming to our edge, I just want to say that we keep track of anything that's out there. I haven't seen anything like our system. There's no,
I'm sorry, Hall, but we can't hear much of what you're saying.
Yeah, if you can be closer to the microphone, Vinaj.
I'm so sorry.
No problem.
I think she should take her own video off. That might help her bandwidth, or speak directly into the microphone.
Try that. Try turning off the video, Vinaj.
Hold on.
Okay, now try it.
Okay, now let me go back to the screen.
It's a lot better right away.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I just have to get back to the screen. Okay.
Okay. We saw Aviana's competitive edge.
Okay, can you hear me now? That's good.
Yes, we can.
So, we don't need any equipment. It's a simple drop of blood or tissue or a sample into our cartridge, and then we get the results in 15 minutes. There's no sample, there's no or simple sample and low cost of goods compared to other things. And and we overcome the very low sensitivity of the lateral flow test. Now it's not moving. Okay, so here's a financial snapshot. We will be on the market, and we hope to just generate a small amount of money in the first year, but it's a positive cash flow, and we have basically returned the investment on dollar, and then we go after the second tranche, and we hope to be using the line with you can see a very good return, and eventually with a conservative market flow, we're getting to with a preeclampsia and so on, we'll get to a positive cash flow. We have a very good team that knows this surface acoustic wave technology very well, complemented by the biomedical engineers and others in the LIU. And as we grow, we hope to gather other folks. We have the people that are working with us. It's a fit for today's care model. As we've heard today, there is a tremendous need in the aging population. We can get pharmacies, which we can get to other areas of interest. So our first tranche, we're raising about 700,000 with a fast note or a convertible note to finalize the system for lab deployment and to collect data on the samples for an LDT. Eventually, we want to get to about 3 to 5 million for a Series B with a higher pre-money valuation, because we will be on the market. We would have completed our first test and eventually to a growth capital. I think that is it. Thank you very much. I'm so really sorry for all the variations in the sound.
Okay, great. So, Mitch, what's your first question?
My first question is because it's more around, since the unit, I mean, it's a great value proposition, but the price points are, obviously low, and that's why people would join. Like, can you walk us through a little bit just how you see that second year adoption happening? Because you are targeting a lot of markets. Each one is very different, even though they're all in healthcare, at least from the ones I remember off the top of my head. So yeah, just a little bit like how you're going to get, adoption and scale and really grow the revenue.
Oh yeah, that's a very good question. The first set for the LDT is primarily going to be to get validation in the marketplace. So we're not expecting a lot of revenue from that, even though it's a pretty big market. And we're also working with other companies therapeutic testing for Lyme disease would like to use us for diagnostics. In the sector area, we're going after labs that are primarily testing for Lyme disease, primarily located in a very regional spot in New York State, West. So it's very regional. And if you look at MedTech and how it's distributed, it's really regional distribution. You've got central facilities that do things like that, but there's a lot of regional distributors. We hope to be able to do we'll do the marketing, but the sales will be distributors. And establish ourselves in hospital in then after for instance that sort of thing. So anyway, system.
I can't
Okay.
I can't hear much of what she's saying, less than half.
Right. So yeah, we're going to get a new wireless connection in some way, Vanaja. But for today, if you guys could join the breakout room where she is, I think we can recap some of that. We'll be getting that here in a few minutes. Kevin, what's your question?
Yeah, this is super interesting. I was curious, and I'm apologies if I missed this, about the data sets that you'll be collecting kind of once you're in market and if you'll be able to monetize that somehow, and if that's part of the plan.
I think that is part of the plan. I think we're going to be getting a tremendous, it's going to be a data company almost more than device company. You know, we're right in the margin between electronics and biology. And I think we can take advantage of all of the data information that's available, especially in epidemiology and zoonotic diseases, but also for individual patient care and how Lyme disease spreads, how we can treat it, how we can monetize the correlation and sending the data, to the right people at the right time. And so, yeah, we do hope to, as you know, during COVID, there was a company that was a connected temperature and that was able to find COVID before the CDC could. And I think they monetized that pretty well. The data
Great.
is valuable to all sorts of people.
Great. And Mohammed, what's your question?
Hi, Vanzan. My quick question is really over the next 90 days, what are the metrics that are going to tell you it's working? Is it going to be turnaround time? Is it going to be confirmation rate or repeat testing at the same clinic?
I think repeating we'll be doing a system overall, and we'll for the LDT we'll do about 30. That's pretty much what's needed, and setting up a safety system. And so the information on on that will be reproducibility, and then eventually we'll get out to the lab. We have to do the testing for the lab system approval, and then we need to do analytical studies, and we need to do repeatability, reproducibility.
Thank you.
Great. Great. And Greg, your question?
Yeah, how well validated is that live blood, one drop to results in 15 minutes, and then that's it?
No,
Yes,
keep
we
going,
have,
keep going, Greg.
Yeah, we have videos that demonstrated that. Greg, the interesting thing is we're using a recombinant protein that was made specifically for Lyme disease. The recombinant protein is able to test IgG and IgM. It looks at 3 different areas of the Lyme receptors, and and we're going to license that from Dr. At UCF. So that is what makes this so feasible. It's a very pure protein that binds very well to our system. And we have many videos that show that this happens very quickly with a drop of blood. Happy to show those videos to you at some point.
Great. And with that, that's the end of our questions and our 3 presenters. I want to thank our presenters today, Respir AI, Intel Care, and Aviana. Great job, guys. We will have breakout rooms here in about 10 minutes. We have a short presentation on what we call the 3X and 3 and want to get your feedback on it as well, guys. We've been doing this for 5 years now and have a good result with it, but would like to see what you guys think about this. So let me get my slides up here and we'll walk through this in short order. And if you can see my slides there, I think we're going to be full screen mode. Is that coming through, guys?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I've been an angel investor for over 20 years, and one of the things I found is that the biggest challenge is not that the deal goes under, but that the deal goes sideways. And tell me if I'm the only one that's found this or not. But what I decided to do was come up with my own term sheet. And just to go back, here at 10 Capital, we've been helping companies raise funding since 2009. And in the 3 years before that, I actually started 3 angel networks in Texas, CTAN in Austin, the Baylor Angel Network in Waco, and the Wilco Angel Network in Williamson County. And then the 3 years before that, I was actually doing individual angel investing. And I'll tell you my story here in a moment, but today, 10 Capital, we're basing our program on my experience of having invested. And my story is in 2003, I invested in an Austin company, put in my 50K, and 3 years later, they come back to me and they say, I think we should take everybody to market rate salaries. And at first I thought that sounded right, but then I realized, well, that's wrong. And it's wrong because we're on the equity track. We're trying to make the company as big as possible. So we're trying to keep salaries as low as possible. And the signal that they're no longer on the equity track is when they want to go to above market rate salaries. And that's what they were telling me. In that story, they later took the company over and ran it for about 7 years before they sold it. I estimated they took $3 million out of the company in the form of salaries in that time frame. And when they sold the company, I got a 50% return on my money. My 50K in was 75K out after 10 years. If you want to calculate the internal rate of return, which we'll talk about in a moment, well, it was not good. And so I always wondered, why can I not be on the same plan as the founder? Because if they decide they don't want to just take it on to an equity exit, they can just move to payroll. And in most cases, the investors don't have much say about that. And so what I did is I looked at that plan and I said, I don't want to be on my plan. I want to be on their plan. How do I do that? So I came up with my own term sheet here. Before we get into it, let's talk about a subtle difference that new investors may not know is there's return on investment and there's IRR. And the difference is that ROI is return on investment without respect to time. If I get 3x my money after 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years, it's the same number. Internal rate of return is return on investment with respect to time. So in a return of 2, 5, or 10 years, it would change based on not just the amount of the return, but also the time you are holding it. And so time in the deal is a key factor. And what I found was if I were able to get 3x my money in 3 years, I would actually get a 44% IRR or 3x return. If I got 3x in 5 years, I would still get a 3x ROI, but I would get on only 25% internal rate of return. And we're trying to get a higher rate of return. So time in the deal is a key factor here. What I found is I looked at the investments in startups is that out of 10 deals, 1 is a home run, 1 goes under, it's bankrupt. 1 to 2 are singles or doubles. You get some money out of it, but not a huge amount. And then the rest are lifestyle businesses. And I found later that it's not the bankruptcy that you have to worry about. That's a 1 in 10 chance. It's the lifestyle business that you have to worry about because that was more like a 5 or 6 50 or 60% chance that was going to happen. And it happened a lot to me. And the drawback is there's no write-off. There's no tax return write-off that you can get out of it. And there's no gain from selling the business. Like you saw in my example, I really didn't get much of a gain at the end of it because they had taken most of the value out in the form of salary. And then if you look at how many startups make it all the way, when we all know this, 40% of the companies go on to raise the Series A, and that means 60% fall off the venture track after the first round. There's 1 round, and then they're not growing anymore. In most cases, they're now going sideways. And in the end, only 16% of the startups are going to actually be acquired for a big gain. And so I kept looking at this power law and I thought that's the way the VCs live. But as an angel, I wondered if that was the way for me. And so I thought to myself, what if I could come up with a plan where I could get a consistent return? And my insight of this was that at about 3 years into it, you tend to figure out which way this is going. It's continuing on up the equity path, or it's now going sideways because it wasn't the rocket ship we thought it was going to be. So the way I solved this is I came up with a 3-year convertible note. At the end of 3 years, it converts to either equity for the amount I put in, 25K in is 25 on the cap table, or it multiplies by 3 and goes into a revenue share agreement, and I'm on my way out of the deal. And it goes up by 3 because that's the total gain I'm going to get out of this deal. And so I found that at year 3 was when we decided which way this was going. If they're going on the payroll track, I'm going on the payroll track with you. If they're going the equity pack, I'm going on the equity track with you. So it was an opportunity to realign with the founder after 3 years in the deal using the term sheet itself. So fundamentally, the term sheet is a 3-year convertible note that investor sole discretion at year 3 gives you the choice of going on the cap table or going on a revenue share out the deal. Usually it takes a couple of years to get paid out, but once you do, you have your return and you give the equity back to the company. Having done a number of these deals, I would say about half the time the investor stays in the deal and half the time they go out. I found there was as many founders wanting the investor to stay in the deal as those who wanted them to go out. In many cases, the founder wanted the equity back, and they were happy to give them extra terms if they could in order to get the equity back because they thought it would be worth more. Or in some cases, they needed more of the equity in order to raise follow-on funding. They may have given away a little too much along the way. So let's see. Cool. So I'm glad people like this structure. The objections I usually get with this, I get it less and less because I think people are in these deals longer and longer and they're looking for paths out of the deal. The new exit now is secondaries. We're not going to sell the business anymore on NASDAQ. We're not going to sell it to another company, and now we're not going to sell it at all. We're just going to sell your stock on exchange to somebody else. And so I found that if you want to stay in there for a long, long time, you can. The last exit I did get a great exit from a deal I did back in 2013. So I got a 44% IRR, 12 years later. And whenever you're talking to an investor and you get this 1,000-yard stare in their eyes, what they're thinking is, last time I was in this, I did this. I was in the deal for 10 years. Is this another 10-year hold? And for those who want to do that because it's the right company to be in, well, by all means, you can do that. But for those who don't, this gives you a path to get out of the deal and move forward. And I'm finding this more and more people are accepting this model of actually letting people out of the deal early if they want to, because they do get the equity back. And I find when we get to that stage, it's let's make a deal. People will say to things like, well, if you stay in the deal, I'll give you the equity that others are giving me back because they're leaving, or vice versa. If you really want to, I really want you to go out of the deal. Instead of giving you 3x, I'll give you 4x because they want the equity back that much. So a lot of things happen along the way with this, and we do have this term sheet. We call it the 3x and 3. Technically, you don't get 3x your money at year 3 in one day. Typically, you get that over a couple of years' time because it's on a 2 to 5% revenue share agreement. I've had done a dozen of these deals so far and found there's many different variations that go into it. It's a very flexible tool. People change the exit. They say, well, I'll pay you back in 2 lump sum payments at month 6 and month 12 after 3 years. And we write that into the term sheet itself. So this is a tool that we have. We call it the 3x and 3. We've been doing this for several years now, not full time, thinking about starting. I've had angel groups come to me saying they want to start their next fund on this because they like the optionality that it brings. And I've had many micro VCs express interest in this as well. The major VCs, if it's not 100x, they just can't be bothered. But micro VCs and angels tend to work in this space. Let me stop there and ask people on the panel, what questions do you have about this term sheet or this idea, if anything? Greg, what's your question?
Yeah, Hall, we just started speaking a couple weeks ago. I missed you at the lovely dinner in New York City, and I didn't follow up the schedule with you. I'm unclear what you are. Are you an introducer? Are you a dealer broker? Do you actually fund yourself?
So we're not a broker dealer. I looked at that early on when I started in 2009 and found that I had so many angel groups and VC funds in my network that if I went the broker route, I would have lost most of them because most funds don't allow brokers in the deal. So I went the retainer model. So we're a connector, a finder. But I've over the years have built a network, and people ask, do you invest? And the answer is I do invest. But the key is I invest on my term sheet, not your term sheet, because I want the optionality to get out. I have about 200 investors that are on the syndicate. Not everybody invests in every deal. One of the things I learned about it is, 3x and 3 doesn't really change your mind. If you don't like the deal to begin with, you're not going to do a 3x and 3 on it. But if you like the deal, but you're not sure about it, is this going to go anywhere? What else can I get out of this? You'll find that 3x and 3 can sway you into it because you have some optionality to get out of it. You can be a little bit more quantitative. You just do the calculation on 3x and 3. If that's the minimum I get, is that good enough? If the answer is yes, then you do it.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Cool. Anybody else have any other questions about it? So for those in our program, we do offer this as part of the campaign. We've had several companies say, yeah, I want to do it. What we do is we use some AI tools to analyze the deal to see if it fits the 3x and 3 model. Can you pay back at year 3? What's the risk if you have to sell the business? And I've had that. I've had people come after 3 years saying, I just don't want to run the business anymore. So we have to find a business broker to sell the business and pay with the proceeds back to the investors what we can. So there is that aspect of it. But we are doing successful tours with this. And if anybody is of interest to learn more, I'll be in a breakout room after this meeting so we can talk more about that. So at this point, if there are no other questions, I think we want to move to breakout rooms. Most people stay there for about 10, 15 minutes. Those on the panel, I encourage you to get to the startup rooms that we had there. Those in the audience, please join us. I think you'll find it interesting to talk to these people as well. And I'll be in a breakout room to talk about the 3x and 3. So with that, we'll go and wrap it up. When you're finished with the breakout room, you're free to go after that. And we'll see you guys on the next event that we have coming up. Thanks so much for making a great presentation. I want to thank our panelists for asking great questions and for a great job by our presenters as well. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see. Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Are all breakout rooms all at the same time? So we just pick and choose, or is there a 15 minutes each?
No, it's 15 minutes for the total thing. So if you go into a breakout room, typically you ask a few questions and then you can jump to the next room itself. We don't find people stay that long. Yeah. But in 15 minutes, you can get around to different groups and love for you to get some feedback if you have a chance. And we can also set up follow-up calls afterwards if you want.
Thank you.
Thanks.